Recognizes the gentlewoman from Florida, Ms. Luna, for 5 minutes.
I just want to start out by saying that I think the initial intent of the Endangered Species Act was done in good faith, but obviously from what we're hearing today and over, I think what's happened in the last 50 years, it's evident that this system is in need of reform. So obviously 3% of species have been delisted. Only 3.7% of species have been delisted in 50 years since the ESA was first enacted, despite the science showing that these species can and should be delisted. And I think that that's exactly what's happening. And the points that my colleagues are bringing up with the grizzly bear and gray wolf populations, which have been steadily rising and even surpassing the goal for recovery, which I believe should be celebrated, instead of, I think, some of the conversation that we're having right now where people are saying that it's not a success when it is. Really, though, in my district back home, and I ask for unanimous consent from the chairwoman to submit these graphics into the record. Behind me, I actually
Without
have...
objection.
Thank you. Behind me, I have the green sea turtle, but also to a West Indian manatee. So it should say Save the Sea Turtles and Manatees. What we're seeing is some of these populations are either have been downlisted to threatened from endangered or vice versa. What we're finding is that the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission provided preliminary data that showed that there were over 1,101 manatee mortalities in 2021, and that's nearly double the record for 2020. And another example of impacts would be the green sea turtle population, which is currently protected as an endangered species under ESA, but some estimates have shown that the green sea turtles have faced over a 90% decrease in population over the past half century. So obviously we want to do our good diligence for future generations to protect these species, but I believe that when you have other animals that are no longer endangered, it takes away the resources that I would need and that we need in Florida to actually protect the species behind me. So my question would be really for Ms. Wallace. We're having a huge problem right now with some outside entities that are refusing to acknowledge that our beaches are some of the breeding grounds for these animal populations, specifically the green sea turtle. One of them would be the Army Corps of Engineers. Do you think that it should be an obligation and responsibility from some of these entities to provide services in order to protect these species?
Within the NOAA Marine Debris Program, we certainly comply with all of the ESA requirements for any project that we undertake or conduct or fund. I think to give you a more comprehensive answer, I'd like to respond in writing.
Okay, yeah, no worries. And it's really just kind of open to you guys, because what I'm finding is that if these programs are set up, obviously if we are taking away resources that would be available to these animals, obviously from, the grizzly bear and the gray wolf, I think as a whole that doesn't do a service to especially Floridians and obviously future generations that want to preserve these animals. So I'm going to yield the rest of my time to Mr. Tiffany